Welcome to the second part of my The Films of Rob Zombie video, where I will take a look at the 3 remaining movies that our heavy metal superstar turned filmmaker directed. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the first part, where I take a look at the first 2 horror movies that he directed, House of Thousand Corpses and its sort of sequel, The Devil's Rejects, and his animated 75-minute long running boob joke, The Haunted World of El Superbeasto. In this video we will begin with Halloween, because as we all know he made a remake slash reimagination of the original 78 John Carpenter version. And while I would never deny that the influence or the success of the original, or the impact that it had on independent filmmaking, I do believe that it's a little over glorified within the horror community. And I know that's not a popular opinion, but hey, somebody has to say it. Still, of course, it never really needed a remake, but if there was somebody that would know what to do with it, it's Rob Zombie, right? At least that's what I would say if I hadn't seen his first 2 live-action horror movies. Yeah, well, let's just take a look. Oh, and just to be clear, I've only seen the unrated version. I know that there's quite some difference. But, okay, well, let's do this. The original, rather classic opening scene from John Carpenter's Halloween is basically just extended to a 25-minute long setup in Rob Zombie's version. Immediately we're treated with the widest of trash.
Oh, the whore with the big tits hanging down to her knees?
Maybe I'll choke the chicken, purge my snorkel all over them flappy ass tits.
Good, we'll have a good fucking time.
I will.
I hope she likes cripples.
Bitch, I will crawl over there and I will skull fuck the shit out of you.
Oh, I'll get the crutches for you.
Jesus Christ, who talks like that? Why are there never any normal people in a Rob Zombie movie? Even at school, the kids talk in a fashion I would have got slapped for if I tried.
Hey Mikey, how's your mom doing? You know, my old man said that for $1 she'd rub her tits on his face.
Shut up.
Think she'd suck my dick for $1 and let me suck her tits?
Yeah, so that's little Michael Myers, living with a dysfunctional family and being bullied at school. And remember that because that's basically how Zombie justifies him turning into the psychotic killer we're all so familiar with. So that's the first quarter of the movie, until he kills his sister. And that is not a spoiler, I mean, we've all seen the original. Then the second quarter of the movie is more or less the new stuff, where we get to see Michael getting psychiatric help from Dr. Loomis, this time portrayed by Malcolm McDowell. This was somewhat interesting, albeit a little superficial and obvious. And his time at the insane asylum, with, of course, again, no normal people working there, like raping the inmates and stuff. From what I understand, from what I read online, this whole setup, the whole giving Michael Myers a backstory, it's been heavily criticized. But in all honesty, I didn't really mind that at all. I mean, if we consider this to be a reimagination, then Michael Myers does not have to be like the embodiment of evil. He could just as well be, just a psycho killer. And in that case, I think a little backstory never hurt nobody. Either way, I feel like for Zombie it was like a lose-lose situation. Because now he gets all this critique for adding a backstory. But otherwise he would have gotten shit for just, exactly following the original, so. So, some 55 minutes in, we finally get to see Haddonfield, present day, where we also finally meet Laurie Strode. And this is also the first time it really feels like a Halloween movie. Not that that's necessary, but it's still nice. Although we did already get to hear the iconic, slightly updated theme song, which sounded really nice actually.
Fucking dead!
And of course we already got to see the mask, which still looks cool. It just looks ridiculous when the kid wears it. So, Laurie and her family and friends are the first, at least somewhat likable characters we've seen in a Rob Zombie movie for a long time. Or maybe even the first time. I like how they've cast Danielle Harris as one of Laurie's friends, which obviously is a nice little reference to the fact that she played Laurie's daughter in Halloween 4 and 5. I also like how they're supposed to be portraying 17-year-old girls, even though Harris was around 30 years old when this movie was made. Besides Harris, there are a few other fun, perhaps predictable minor cameos. Like Danny Trejo, Ken Foree, Sid Haig, and hey, Udo Kier. Oh, and in case you hadn't noticed yet, Zombie's wife is in this too, of course, playing Michael Myers' mom in the first half of the movie. Anyway, the second half follows the original quite close. We get the same teenage talk.
No, it's totally
family.
Yes.
And the same physics that still don't make any sense 30 years later. Michael Myers is going after Laurie, killing some people along the way, and Dr. Loomis, still obsessed, is trying to put a stop to him. And all of this I actually didn't mind at all. As a matter of fact, I enjoyed it. It was just a good, gruesome, modern slasher flick. Of course there were still some things to dislike, you know, like the extreme use of shaky cam during some of the action scenes. Come on, I'm trying to follow the action, this is annoying. And the ending went on for maybe a little too long, but overall, I was not disappointed. Yeah, best Rob Zombie movie so far. And of course that's not saying a lot since I didn't really care for the first 3 movies that I talked about in the first part. But really, if you can just set aside your feelings towards the original, this one, it wasn't bad. It was pretty cool. Enough people went to see it in theaters, and you know that's probably the main reason that a sequel got greenlit, because well, the critics they were mostly negative. At one point, the guys behind Inside, you know, the French movie, they were set to direct this one, but you know, in the end, it once again went to Rob Zombie. So, Halloween 2, and just to be clear, it's not a remake of the original 1981 Halloween 2, but rather a sequel to the remake/reimagination. Yeah. Well, let's see, and well, once again, I've only seen the unrated version. So, the movie continues right after where the first one ended, with some casual banter that by now I think is how Rob Zombie thinks is how people actually talk.
I heard a story about a couple of meat wagon boys fucking corpses over in Essex. I ain't never had the urge till tonight.
So, we're immediately right in the action with Michael Myers coming to the hospital, still determined to kill Laurie. Exciting stuff, but then... Are you fucking kidding me? And no joke, at this point, we're already 25 minutes into the movie. So you're telling me that 1/4 of the whole movie is just a dream? Come on, guys. So then the story really starts, and it's actually 2 years later. And in 2 years, a lot of stuff happened. Most notably, all the likable characters from the first one, mainly Laurie and then Dr. Loomis, have changed into completely unlikable characters, giving us the Rob Zombie signature trait of having 0 likable characters in his movie. Laurie, she's dealing with the trauma caused by the events in the first movie and is now no better than Michael's dysfunctional family that we saw in the first part.
You know what, if I hear that fucking phrase one more fucking time, I mean, she just fucking sits there in her fucking leather chair and judges me like she's fucking God. It's her job.
Very cool, you know, cursing, it's very cool. She's now living with her friend that's played by Danielle Harris, and is mostly, you know, just being annoying. Then we have Dr. Loomis, who is turned into a complete cartoon character who wrote a book about Michael Myers and is now a fame and money-hungry asshole.
Well, I think it's a mistake.
Oh yeah, you do you?
Yes.
Well, when I want your opinion, I'll beat it out of you.
What the hell? And that sucks, you know. In all the Halloween sequels, Dr. Loomis was often the best part about those movies. And here you couldn't care less if he lives or dies. And then, besides 2 unlikable main characters, we have what I will call the white horse metaphor. A reoccurring theme in the movie where Michael Myers sees his younger self together with his mother on a white horse. Most likely just a weak excuse by Mr. Zombie to have Mrs. Zombie appear again in this movie, in a white dress. Since she, spoiler alert, she killed herself in the first movie. So, all in all, this doesn't feel like a Halloween movie anymore. It's really just a Rob Zombie flick. And I know I kind of make that sound like it's a bad thing, because it kind of is. And really, it's not like I need like traditional good guys, bad guys. But really, if your main characters are, besides unlikable, also just annoying, which is definitely the case with Dr. Loomis 2.0, and actually also with Laurie, then it's just really hard to get into a movie. And, well, that's not a good thing. The only good thing about unlikable characters is that it's more satisfying when Michael Myers pays a visit to kill them. The bad thing about that, however, is that you can't see shit because of the shaky camera work. Jesus, what's going on? And why is Michael Myers at a strip club anyway? I don't know about this one, guys. Going into this one after a rather exciting first Halloween movie, this really is just a big disappointment. It's really just more dream sequences, more Mrs. Zombie on a horse, more annoying Dr. Loomis, and more over-the-top stabbing sound effects. And then a silly ending I don't even really want to go into. Sure, there are some cool, some pretty good looking shots every now and then, but that really doesn't save this one from being mostly just annoying and, quite forgettable. Well, except this scene where a cop is sad because he finds his daughter's dead body, but his reaction, it's more funny than heartbreaking.
Oh no, Andy!
Yeah. I get that Rob Zombie was trying to do something different with this one, and I respect him for that. It just happens to be that he made something that I don't really care for at all. I wonder how John Carpenter feels about these movies. I know that he was cool with Rob Zombie doing the first one, and from what I understand, they sort of have like a friendship going on. But at the same time, in some interviews when he talks about the movies, he comes across as rather indifferent towards them. Oh well, I mean, in the end, doesn't really matter. So, let's just take a look at what for now is the latest movie that Rob Zombie has created. The Lords of Salem. Ooh. Let's see. So, after some 10 years, Sherry Moon finally managed to land a leading role in a movie. A Rob Zombie movie, that is, but hey, it's a start. She plays an ex-junkie, of course, named Heidi, that's working as a DJ for this hard rock radio station. One day she receives a package with an LP by the Lords of Salem, and whenever she plays the music, it's all creepy, and it causes Heidi to see these crazy visions. And that's the setup to an extremely convoluted plot that in short is about a group of witches in the 17th century that were killed by a reverend, but not before one of the witches, cursed the reverend's bloodline to carry the devil's child. And, of course, Heidi is a descendant of that reverend. And really, that's not too bad. I mean, witchcraft and all that, while not super original, I mean, if you do it right, it can still be interesting. Definitely if you give it like a little twist somewhere. And well, Rob Zombie, he gave it a twist already. Because really, if you think about the movie's plot and storyline for longer than, 5 seconds, it's completely ridiculous. But of course, I do want to talk about that, but then the remaining of this review will definitely contain some spoilers, so if you want to skip that, skip to here. It's so, okay, so these witches, they waited a couple of centuries until a super granddaughter of the Reverend became a DJ, so they could send her some cursed music that they made for her to play on the radio. See, they're like a band of witches, not a coven. It's so, at one point in the movie, at the radio station, they give away tickets for an upcoming Lords of Salem concert. What? That's so weird if you think about it. A band of witches, they book this huge venue to play their demonic music, and there's even people showing up. Not nearly enough to cover the costs of booking the venue, I presume. Definitely not when all the tickets were given away for free. All of this just doesn't really make any sense to me, or I'm just, like, completely missing the point. From a visual point of view, this is probably the best looking Rob Zombie movie. The cinematography and some of the sets and locations, it looks really great. The movie does a good job at establishing a great mood and atmosphere. It's definitely the most surreal out of Zombie's movies, and that's an interesting new approach for him. And in all honesty, he's not bad at creating some beautiful imagery. Problem still though is just that it all doesn't really make any sense to me. The weird story, or like the lack of a proper story, it's just masked by the looks, it's style over content. If he had this look and feel with a more coherent story, it could just be as simple as that. It would have been awesome. Sherry Moon, she isn't even that bad in this movie. I mean, she's not unlikable. But then again, in the end, I still didn't really care too much for her character. I definitely felt more sorry for her dog, that at one point when Heidi is captured by the witches, gets locked in the bathroom. Eventually Heidi does return to her apartment, but we never get to see the dog again. So all I was thinking during these scenes was like, is that dog still locked in the bathroom? That's so sad, it's such a sweet dog. Yeah, it sure is. But the overall movie, it's still a mixed bag. I would really want to see it again, but purely for the look. I really like this movie from a visual point of view. But story-wise and in character and, acting-wise, it didn't really do anything for me. Again, it's a shame, you know, out of all the Rob Zombie movies that I really wanted to love, this one probably takes the cake. As in, I still don't really do, but I wish I did. Does that make sense? So, that concludes this two-part look at the films of Rob Zombie. I know that in general I was not really positive like at all. I mean, Halloween is the only movie that I do really like. But, you know, I still just think that he's an interesting filmmaker, someone that I will still follow in the future, you know, for upcoming projects, you know, like 31? No idea if that's gonna be any good, but hey. So yeah, that's just the reason that I wanted to discuss his movies so far. That's cool, right? Okay guys, have a nice day. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video or the stuff on my channel in general, please consider supporting all of that by going over to patreon.com/horriblereviews. There's a short video on that page, just check it out, that will explain everything. By doing so, it'll make it easier for me to make more videos and, you know, crank up the quality a little bit. You see the list of people over there? They are already supporting and, you know, that's awesome. Thank you guys. If not, doesn't matter, nothing will change. I mean, I'll still try to make as many videos as possible. So thank you and see you next time.